Hello again, everyone. Edwin Learnard back once again. In this YouTube astrological segment, I'm going to be talking about transit Jupiter conjunct one's natal Neptune. Now, when we're talking about transits that involve Jupiter, it can be about enlargement, expansion, expanding horizons, exuberance, enthusiasm, even optimism and hope. Now, when we're talking about transit Jupiter conjoining one's natal Neptune, this could be about the enlargement, expanding horizons, expansion in general, exuberance, enthusiasm, optimism over could be one's dreams, ideals, fantasies. Say this Aquarius, it could be a dream of being, fantasizing about being an innovator, somebody working in computers or maybe electronics, information technology, doing something very unique in general. And also, too, it could be about expanding one's ideals and their fantasies as well. If it's in Sagittarius, it could be about expanding one's fantasies or fantasizing about sports or doing something in religion or philosophy or higher education. Uh, Also, too, this could also be about the expansion of illusion, whether you're somebody that might be working like as a magician, or maybe you might be experiencing more deception, duplicity, more so than usual at this time. Uh, Remember, when we're talking about conjunctions, they are neutral. So, some cases this actually could be fortuitous for matters with illusion, deception, duplicity. Somebody has slandered you or is pretending to be a friend and they're really not, as another example. It could be something where this person might be exposed at this time. Um, could also be a time too where isolation may be expanded at this time. If you're a person that has a chart that's more gregarious, extroverted, it might surprise some people at this time. You might be a little bit more reclusive at this time, more so than usual. At the same time, sorry, at the same time, this could also expand how betrayal, um, you know, something where if you have a friend, say if it's in the 11th house, it could be something that a friend might betray you or someone you know in a group, club, or organization. And also, too, this could also be about the enlargement of things that might be unclear or obscure or nebulous. It could be simply if you have this in the third house, say it could be when you're driving. Uh, Sometimes it could manifest in like brain fog in some cases, maybe. Say I mean say if this is conjoin your Mercury, if this is your natal Mercury at the same time, as an example. Um, it could be something too when we're talking about uh, or even if it's making an adverse aspect to your natal Mercury, I would say. Now, anatomically speaking, Neptune is connected with the feet, the toes, the immune and lymphatic system, and also you look at this. Some cases, this can enlarge those issues. Um, it could be a situation where in some cases, though, remember that Jupiter, you're talking about conjunctions can go either way. Some cases it could be where maybe your immune system might be actually improving, or if you're having, say, surgery, say, for example, on the feet or on the toes, it could actually be very fortuitous for it if you have issues with them. And because Jupiter is that benign planet, it's lucky and fortunate, but could also have a tendency to enlarge and expand. Could also be, Neptune is also about alcohol and drugs. So it can be a time too if you're a person that's isolated cases. If you are a habitual user, then it might enlarge those issues, but at the same time, it can be fortuitous if you're trying to get away from those things as well. And also, too, keep in mind that this is about, I mean, Neptune can be about, delusion, self-deception. It can be a time where, when we look at this, it can be enlarge those issues. And going back to like the dreams, ideals, and fantasies, it could be a time where you might be more enthusiastic and exuberant about those issues at this time. And but at the same time, remember that Neptune is also about confusion. So sometimes this could expand on those issues more so than usual at this time. And also it could be a lot of a lot of hope and idealism. I'd say hope, optimism, exuberance, enthusiasm in Neptune-related things, like could be positions like poetry, dancing, photography, the metaphysical, which includes astrology, as some examples, photography. Now, another way this can manifest and pan out, it could be a time where you're more enthusiastic about attaining dreams, your ideals, and fantasies at this time more so than usual. Now, say if this is in Aquarius in your 10th house in your natal chart, it could be about attaining dreams like in astrology or astronomy or computer career. And as I was stating before, Jupiter can be about enlargement. It can be, in some cases, this might enlarge chaos or confusion. Say if you have this in Sagittarius in your 4th house in your natal chart, it could be maybe over putting up, a partition in your home, running around trying to find the right tools, or gallivanting with different stores, trying to find out what you need to get this done. People running all over the place, or adding an extension to your home in general. Now, also too, Jupiter can be connected with prosperity. Now, this could be good for prosperity in something Neptune related. It could be if you're doing something with metaphysical, which includes astrology or fantasy, poetry, photography, working with illusions such as a magician, working, pharmaceutical work, being a chemist. It's something where you might get an unexpected bonus in those things. If you have this, if you're currently working in one of those positions, could also expand work in those areas perhaps too. Could also be a time too where, let's say for example, you have this in Sagittarius in the 5th house in your natal chart. It might be something, it might be prosperous if you're somebody that's creating, fantasy sports games. Fantasy, of course, can be associated with Neptune. Sports can be associated with Sagittarius, 5th house of games. Now, remember that Jupiter is also about veracity and the truth. So, in some cases, this can manifest in the truth that might be being unveiled regarding something deceptive or fraudulent. Now, let's say if it falls in the 8th house in your natal chart, it could be over some credit card fraud or insurance related fraud that you were involved in, or maybe somebody that a deceptive or duplicitous sexual partner in some cases, or person you were involved in a shared resources scenario, such as like a business connection. Sometimes it could be tax evasion might be exposed in some isolated cases. Now, another thing too, let's say if it's in Scorpio, it could have been those matters were done very surreptitiously, as another example. And also to keep in mind too that Jupiter is about philosophy as well. In religion, it could be that these things might be a little bit more nebulous at this time, or unclear. You might be more ambivalent regarding these matters, more so than usual. It could be something, let's say for example, this falls in Capricorn. It could be, maybe understanding the true meaning of what success actually is. because remember, Jupiter is about philosophy, and Neptune can be about confusion. Say if it's in Capricorn, it could be matters pertaining to success, whether success is actually, for example, defined by, your monetary gain, or where you are in terms of your stature in life, or whether it might just, for example, mean just being a happier person. You know, it could be something like that. Hold on a moment. Now, in remote isolated cases, this can enlarge Neptune physical related issues I was stating before. Sometimes it can be something like, for example, with the immune system or the lymphatic system, toes, the feet. It can be something where Neptune is also about general weakness, dissipation, dissolving. So in some cases, maybe there's some weakness in something Jupiter related, such as something with the liver or the pancreas maybe not working, 100%. Also, I mean, sciatic, Jupiter is also connected with the sciatic nerve. So, I mean, those are some things to look at as far as this transit goes. And anyway, people, that'll conclude this YouTube astrological segment. Until next time, people, Edwin Learnard saying stay well.